Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. My name is Salvador Brigman, and on this channel, we talk about raising money using crowdfunding, but we also cover nonprofit fundraising, and specifically, how do you turn someone who's a stranger into a donor of your nonprofit organization, as well as I want to introduce to you a new concept today, which I call the donor pyramid, and that's what we're getting into today. The donor pyramid is a really cool concept, which I'm excited to share with you. But basically, this is going to enable you to raise more as a nonprofit organization. It's really building out your organization, building out the fundraising process behind all of the initiatives that you're doing as a nonprofit. And if you don't master this concept, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be scraping by, working really hard just to keep the lights on, and it's going to feel like you're doing lots and lots of work, but you're not seeing very much results from it. You might have a couple of donors, you might have some donors, right? But it's not really going to be what you were hoping when you think you first started your nonprofit organization. So this is a pyramid, kind of separate from the fundraising funnel, which I talked about in another video. The fundraising funnel works downwards, right? The pyramid goes upwards. Just simple geometry. The pyramid, the way I like to think of it is, let's start with the beginning level, the beginning rung on this pyramid. You have your entry-level donors. And most nonprofits, if you are existing as a nonprofit organization, you probably have entry-level donors. You probably mastered the bottom part of this pyramid, but it's important to go through it because, first of all, you might be just starting one now, but also it's going to lead into some of the upper levels. So an entry-level donor is someone who's gone through the fundraising process. They maybe know you, they like your organization, they like the cause that you're trying to help, they resonate with your message, your stories, your values, and they've decided that financially they want to make a contribution. Now that contribution could be for $50, could be $100, could be $200, right? I'm not usually lumping in larger donors here, like giving in the upper amounts, but just they're making a contribution to your nonprofit organization. Kind of, it's like, I like what you're doing. It's like a pat on the back. It's a high five. They're saying that, and that's it, right? They give a one-time donation, and then it's up to you. And you're trying to go out there and get even more donations online. You're trying to get more donations in person, and you always feel like you're just hunting. You're just hunting for more and more, and it's never enough to keep the lights on. It's so frustrating, right? It's so depressing, I think, to a sense. And it's something you don't want to do because you're spending all of your time fundraising. It's really annoying. So this entry-level donor, if you are at all passionate about your cause, you probably have these entry-level donors. And the big thing that characterizes them is smaller amounts of money, possibly online, but they're usually only giving once. It's like a one-time donation, maybe another time the year after, right? But a lot of nonprofits don't even see those giving campaigns where it's like they give every year. My goal is to get you to transition those entry-level donors into becoming dedicated donors, which is the second rung in this fundraising, this pyramid, basically, this donor pyramid. The second rung is, how do we get people who just give off a one-off donation to become a dedicated donor of your nonprofit? Well, there are a few ways to do this. But first of all, this is a major thing that so many nonprofits out there are missing out on this concept. They're just completely missing out. There's no follow-up campaign. After someone gives money, they're not asking, on a 3 months down the road, can they give money again? There isn't anything in the way of a marketing push. And maybe they have an annual giving campaign where they ask them again that year or the next year. But think about that. That's a horrible. That's a ton of turnover. You're always having to work to get new people in the door. And then those people that came in the door, that's a key resource that you're just not even using or tapping into. So that when it comes to the dedicated donors, the first easiest way, and I covered this in another video, the first easiest way is to turn those one-time donors into recurring donors, people who are giving on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. These are all really easy ways to move people up from being the entry-level donor to being more of a bought-in, dedicated donor to that degree. So monthly giving campaigns is one of the first easy ways to move them up that pyramid. And you can reach out about that, I'd say 3 months after they give their first donation, 2 months after they give their first donation. Usually you want to kind of share with them some fun stuff, some fun, exciting stories, some results. those are all great ways in order to perk up their interest and not just be about, hey, do you want to give more money, but also show them the impact that they're making already, right? And that you are making. And then you can transition into the monthly donor campaign. Another way which you can start to transition these people from being entry-level donors to being dedicated donors is to get them involved in other ways. So in addition to investing their money, what are some of the other assets that they have? Well, one is their social capital. Would they be willing to share your message with their social network, with their social media following? Is that something that they would be willing to help you with by drawing on their social capital? Is that something that they're going to, to share things with your friends is kind of intimate, I think, honestly. To introduce your friends to an organization which you care about, that's a little bit intimate. So some ideas there. Why don't they run a birthday fundraiser that is related to your nonprofit organization? Would they be willing to share a video that you've created? Getting them to become involved with the sharing process not only is great marketing for you, but also increases their investment and they become more of a dedicated, or they're actually watching your messages. They're becoming an evangelist for you. And it's a very simple thing they can do from an armchair. Like they don't have to go out there in the field and participate. They can just make a few simple clicks or scroll down their iPhone and they can do that. They can help out. So the second way is with their social capital. The third way is with their time. I think one of the biggest hallmarks of a really bought-in donor, I mean more of a hardcore supporter, which I'm going to cover next, is someone who is devoting their time and their life to a mission, right? We only fill our life with the things that are really important to us, and the things that aren't important, we don't have time for them. We say we're too busy. We say it's not important. It's not on the top of our to-do list, right? But we make time for the people and the things that are really close to us and close to our heart. And when it comes to a nonprofit, that's bread and butter, getting them to donate their time to you or their expertise. And you can only do that by giving them the opportunities and by putting those ideas in their head, giving them brainstorming, right? So first one would be, why don't you come out for a one-time volunteering event, right? You don't have to volunteer every week. You don't have to volunteer every month. Just come out for this really cool event that we're running and invite them to it. Get them to show up. Ask them if they want to come. Or do something more virtually, attending a live stream, attending something that's related to that event where they can participate in more of an online fashion if they're not physically in that location. And that way they can dedicate their time and they're making much more of an investment in that way by becoming and volunteering and helping and seeing firsthand the impact that your organization is making. Along with their time, people also have their expertise, right? So for example, I am pretty knowledgeable when it comes to marketing and writing, putting together videos to a degree, ad videos. I love doing podcasts. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to these things. I don't know that much about the law. That's something that I want to learn a lot more about. I know some basic stuff with business law. I know some basic stuff with accounting. I know you should, a little bit when it comes to corporate law, but not very much. But there are other people out there who have tons of knowledge and skill sets when it comes to photography, or when it comes to law, when it comes to accounting, when it comes to customer service, right? People have different skill sets. So rather than saying something like, would you just be willing to give another donation? You could also get them to donate their skill set and create an opportunity where, what if one day of the week or in the month for a day or two, they came in and they helped you with some website issues that you have, or they were willing to contribute an article to a magazine that you run, or your quarterly blog, or a newsletter that you're running, or they're willing to write a fundraising letter to provide their testimonials or something like that. Drawing from their experience, which is another asset, get them to become a part of your internal organization. And when they do that, when they help you with their website, when they help you with their website, or they help you with writing, or they help you with social media or something like that, they then start to see and understand how your organization operates. They get to know you, your personality, the personality of your teams, and they become so much more invested in what you're doing. They realize it becomes real to them in their mind. So it's another way of progressing to the second step of being a dedicated donor. Now, there are a lot of similarities between a dedicated donor and a hardcore supporter, but I think the biggest difference is that a hardcore supporter is on your team, basically. They're always volunteering. They're spending most of their time doing that. They're not really volunteering at other nonprofit organization events, that you know them by name. There's a lot of face-to-face, or there's a lot of interaction online. They're willing to share your initiatives. They're willing to provide testimonials. They're willing to help a little bit with your marketing in that way. They're interacting usually directly with the target demographic to a certain degree. They're really bought in. They're like a hardcore friend. They're a best friend, basically, if you want to put it that friends. Like, they're your friends who are kind of like acquaintances, right? And you have some friends you hang out with occasionally with social gatherings, and then you have like your best friends. And that's really what I mean when I say like your hardcore supporters. They are there for you, and they're a part of your organization. The only difference, I think, to me, is the individual's interest level and also the amount of time that they spend and invest around you to get to know your organization. That's really what propels them to the next level there. Going up this donor pyramid, you then also have elite supporters. Now, elite supporters, they don't always have to be, but typically they are high net worth individuals. They're people who have a pretty good salary, or they've been really smart with their investments, or they're just so freaking passionate that they're willing to spend a lot of money on the causes that they care about in life. So an elite supporter, I'm referring to someone who's giving like thousands of dollars to your organization, right? Someone who is like, you almost want to consider putting on the board of your organization as a way to thank them, but also so they can give more input into the strategy behind what it is you're trying to do and your mission. You want to also thank them, and you maybe even want to tap into some of their contacts. Elite supporters are the bread and butter of, like, I would say, a rising nonprofit, because not only are they giving lots of money, but you then gain access to their network. And typically someone who is a high net worth individual, you've been very successful in business, you've been successful in life, you probably are surrounded by other people. A doctor usually has friends that are other doctors, right? A business owner probably knows lots of other business owners that are also really successful. A stockbroker who's making, 6 figures, really good money, probably is friends with other stockbrokers. So they're not only valuable from just the monetary component, but also from the life component of the social capital which they bring to your organization. There are some techniques to attract these types of individuals to your work, but more often than not, it's actually more so identifying them, right? So for example, you could do an ad campaign or a marketing campaign that's really geared towards people that are 45 to 50, that are high net worth individuals, or in particular industries. Like, you could do that, obviously, or you could, which I'll talk about next, partnering with like a corporation in that way, getting to interact with their employees and meeting some high net worth individuals that way. So you can position yourself to be around these individuals, but more often than not, it actually comes with identifying them. And you could have someone who's a regular supporter who's showing up to your events, and unless you take the time to get to know that person, you don't know that they have a really successful business in town, right? They're just another person to you. So it really actually comes, I think, with more of you being curious and being willing to learn about these people. Why are they invested in your nonprofit? What do they want to get out of it? Why are they so passionate about it? What is their backstory? Get to know those people. In the same way you would get to know a customer who joins your business. Any new customer I have, I want to know as much as I can about that person. I want to know how I can make them happy. I want to know, what they bring to the table, what their experience level is. If they run a really big organization or company, I can probably help them in many different ways than just a small-time freelancer who's just looking to, set up their blog for the first time. And they're both the great people, but just the value proposition is going to be very different, right? So it comes from identifying and also getting around those types of people, and actually even just creating the opportunity. But it kind of transitions into the pinnacle, the final part of the donor pyramid, which is corporate donors. And corporate donors are a little bit mysterious, in my opinion, particularly if you're a beginner when it comes to the fundraising game. But corporate donors are organizations, corporations, and even, I'd say, small businesses that want to get involved in the initiatives that you're running, maybe locally, maybe because they want to have more brand awareness, maybe because just the founder or someone who's really high up in the management team cares about this particular issue and they're willing to be the champion of that in their organization. But a corporate donor is just, rather than viewing it as an individual, it's almost like a group of people. It's an entity. And they can be very powerful because they tend to give a lot more money, quite frankly, than individual donors. They might make a lot more sense of giving $10,000 to an organization than an individual. That's a lot of money for an average individual to just contribute to a nonprofit, company, organization. So with these corporate donors, you want to develop a unique fundraising strategy that is specific to them. You're going to speak to them and do a different presentation to them than you're going to give to the average person who's giving, $30 one-off to your organization. It's just a different donor type. So this is going to look different. Your marketing, your segmentation, your strategy, the stories you tell, the length of time you have to spend with them before they make a donation. These are very different things. Now, the main reason I want to make this video was to share with you that forming this pyramid is kind of the basis of being successful for your nonprofit organization, but also every single level must be treated differently. And when you start to realize that, you'll stop treating the people who give you $30 with the same level of care and attention as a corporate donor, because you can't do it all. You're just going to be drained at the end of the day. You don't have enough time in your life to be able to spend that with everyone, right? So when you start to have a different fundraising strategy for every different level, that's really where the magic starts to happen, and where you start to be able to get into some of these upper echelons when it comes to raising money. So if that sounded interesting to you and the way I kind of break that down and codify this, you might like my book, Nonprofit Fundraising Hacks, which goes more in depth into the donor pyramid, but also some other really killer ways to raise more from your existing donors, as well as how do you turn strangers into people that are raving fans and want to support your organization, want to turn out when you're going to have a volunteering opportunity. I share all of that and more, lots of tools you can arm your toolbox with in this book, Nonprofit Fundraising Hacks, which I will link up down below. But my name is Salvador Brigman. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time.